Okay, welcome to the beautiful Meadowlands Fishery, where I'm going to be talking about all things ground baiting. I've just had one of the best features I've done in a long time for the Match Fishing magazine cameras. It's been absolutely phenomenal. We've caught great big skimmers, great big roach, perch. We even had some rods that have had to like swim down 10 foot to intercept me bait because my rig was that heavy. But anyway, I'm waffling. Let's talk about the ground bait. So, now, bearing in mind, it's a proper deep venue, this one. You know, I've probably got touching 12 foot, I'd say, on the pole line. It's sort of 13 metres and around 9.5, 10 foot on my short pole line. So what I want to make sure is that my ground bait's getting down to exactly to where I want it to be. So that's why I need quite a sticky mix. So my first two ground baits of choice is a Sonu Bait So Natural Black Roach and the Sweet Skimmer. The Black Roach in particular, it's quite a heavy mix, you know, it's quite a nice binder. And the Sweet Skimmer, it's just the smell off that, folks, I can't tell you, it's just ridiculous. The skimmer's got absolutely nuts for it. But because the nature of the beast of this lake, it's got lots and lots of skimmers in, obviously lots of roach as well. That's why I've gone for the black roach, because of the activity, you know, the bits of hemp in there and what have you. But just because I want to target the skimmers as well, I have added some F1 dark to the mix, just to make the mix a little bit darker. I mean, the water is it's not clear and it's not like coloured, you know what I mean? It's a nice colour if you'd like, but me personally, I do like to use a dark mix, certainly this time of year until you get into the warmer weather, for like the skimmers and the roach. And my fish meal content is coming from the F1 dark. So I've done a full bag of black roach, a full bag of sweet skimmer, and like a 2 kilo bag of the F1 dark. So I've mixed all them up, mixed them sort of like over wet. Obviously, you'll know if you watch any of our videos that we do, I always mix a ground bait as soon as you get to your peg. Then you can go about your business, you know, getting your gear out, getting your rig set up and everything. And then sort of 20 minutes, half an hour maybe, go back to the mix, put a little bit more water with it. And that's when you can, you know what I mean, folks? Some people like to riddle it, but when you're using a drill, obviously it eliminates a lot of them balls. If I was fishing for like smaller fish, then I probably would riddle it rather, just to get them, you know, bigger lumps out of the mix. But using a drill, folks, honestly, it's fine. Now, particles wise, I have put lots and lots of portions of casters to the mix. I've probably put a good, I'm going to say 2.5, 3 pints. Not put any worms in with it. The trouble with worms, I've chopped a load of worms up, but the trouble with worms is there's a lot of perch in here. So if you're getting the wrong size fish, it can attract them little babby ones, little babby perch, little babby roach and that. So to start with, I've not put any in. I'd sooner like put worms in on their own, if you like, with like ground bait, or maybe, you know, mix a bit of sort of like ground bait through it so it is going down quicker. But for the actual ground bait itself, I put a good 2.5, 3 pints of casters in. What I've done, I've made 7 bowls quite hard. The other thing as well is what you've got to consider is when you're fishing on the slope, obviously you've got to put your ground bait in short. Now, you're allowed to throw the ground bait on here, and it's far better. In my opinion, it's miles better if you're allowed to throw ground bait rather than cupping it in. The reason for that is obviously the noise, and you can get it over a bigger area. Now, just bear in mind, if you're on a slope, make sure that ground bait, you're feeding it this side of your marker, like your float, whatever you want to use, your pole pot, what I've used in this instance, or just make them like odd shape bowls, cheeky. So yeah, so I've done 7 hard bowls, and I've done sort of 3 loose ones, which pretty much break up on impact. So I've done that. I've dropped them sort of like a little bit short of my pole pot, sort of like up to a foot. I'm not on too much of a slope here. It's just sort of like starting to flatten out where I'm fishing. And I've not had to top up. I've fished it for a good sort of 2 hours, and it's been pretty much skimmer chuck. I've had some great big perch, some great big roach. I've had some nice bream, and it's just been one of the best days fishing I've had in a long time. But yeah, bear that in mind, folks. If you're ever on sort of these kind of venues, obviously it's commercially, so the skimmers, everything in here is used to fish meal. So you've got to put that bit of fish meal content in, but it's not quite right for sort of like pure fish meal, you know, like your your light brown ground bait. That's why you need a little bit of darkness to it. So the F1 dark for me has just been superb all through winter, and obviously the addition of the black roach and the sweet skimmer, it just adds that binding agent. So the hard balls that I made up, they're not breaking up until it hits the bottom, and it's just going to keep fishing your peg for ages. I say I've not had to top up for 2 hours. And there's still plenty of fish out there. It's just an amazing session, and I can't rate this venue highly enough. Meadowlands Fishery. Get on it, folks, and get on the groundbait balls. Badoosh, yeah boy.